The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesdays here at the HighLowSports podcast. We appreciate you all for joining us here on this Tuesday evening. And you know what? Week one of the NFL season has come and gone, which means it's time to start overreacting and underreacting to the different teams. We're not doing power rankings. We're not doing standings. We're going to do what everyone else is doing. We're going to start tiering teams. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelsey. And Kelsey, you know what? We're just going to toss these into teams based on what we saw and what we expect to see as well. So we're not going to rank them, but we're going to rank them.
Yeah, if our tiers have told us anything up to this point, it's going to be in for some possible weird rankings, I guess, compared to most people's. But then again, it's kind of hard to say that what happened on the field didn't happen on the field at the end of the day. So yeah, I feel like we'll be maybe in line with some people, but yeah, forget the power rankings. This is all about what we saw on the field. Exactly.
As well, everyone else is doing tiers and rankings. You know, we're going to go ahead and do that as well. And we're going to jump right into it because we got ourselves a doozy here today. And taking a look now at the tiers we got. At the top, we got the juggernauts, followed by Super Bowl contenders. They'll be fine, but what the F was that? Some good teams, some frisky and fun teams, some teams with some work to do. So yikes, not too good, some bad, and then I already kind of started this one off for us. We got the New York Giants. We can go over this for 40 minutes, but we got zero time for that. So, Kelsey, I'm going to go ahead and let you lead the way for us with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, and like you started off with the Giants on one end of the scale, I'm going to go to the 49ers on the other end. I think they go juggernauts right now. As you see what they did, 30-7 over the Steelers. It wasn't until very late that the Steelers even got on the board. And at that point in time, Brock Purdy and crew had already hung up their cleats. So, yeah, San Francisco right now looking like they're just an absolute juggernaut ready to tear down anything in their way.
Arguably a top 3 offense and a top 3 defense of week one as well. And a solid special teams unit. You can't really argue with that one there. There was not really a weakness for them. So no arguments here with San Fran. Next, we got the Chicago Bears, and we're going to go with yikes, not good. There's a lot of problems there and a lot of things they're supposed to fix and work on. We're not there. I think they'll be fine. The fact that you brought in DJ Moore and you didn't run a single tunnel screen or anything for him to just get the ball in his hands was frustrating. You see how good he is with the ball in his hands. That's one of his strong suits. You threw 18 screens to Khalil Herbert in squad, but never really one to him. You didn't utilize him. Justin looked a little bit. They have a lot to work on. We're not going to go into that. This is not the Bears report, but yikes, it was not very good, especially in a game that it felt like they could finally get one over on the Packers.
Yeah, but if you do want to check out the Bears report, go check out Coach Steve. So he brings in our good friend Zach Kylman for that every week. So no, but yeah, exactly. Bears, I think it's understandable. They're in yikes. That was not good because that was not good at all. What we saw. I mean, I predicted them to win, yeah, Roschon Johnson's the bright spot there, but that's about it.
Literally it. But next, you got your Cincinnati Bungles.
Well, they definitely bungled this one up. That is for sure. I'm going to say WTF was that, but they'll be fine. I guess they'll be fine, but WTF was that. I still think they'll be fine at the end of the day, but you got to ask yourselves how you have all the weapons you have. You just got Joe Burrow paid. How bad is that injury really going to be if he looked like that against the Browns? Or maybe the Browns are just that good. We don't know yet, but right now I think they'll be good. It's just WTF was that for now.
And we're going to talk about the Browns a little bit later on as well, as we mentioned, but I'm going to jump right into it. The Bills, the same song and dance, an absolutely terrific performance by Josh Allen. Hey, hi, Josh. It's the problem. It's you. We're going to quote Taylor Swift there, but that was an awful performance by him. You gave them 13 of their points in the other. Really, you kind of gave them all their points because that 3-0 in overtime wasn't great either. Probably one of his worst performances against Zach Wilson and 3 snaps of Aaron Rodgers, really. Like, there's no excuse for that.
4 snaps.
Excuse me, 4 snaps, with the 4th one being the last one. But they'll be fine, but that was awful, and they got to flip that thing quick, fast, in a hurry, because if the Dolphins stay healthy, that team's winning the division. If the Dolphins can stay healthy, they're running away with the division. But the Bills will be fine for now.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about the Dolphins here shortly. But, yeah, the Bills, that was you can't get beat by Zach Wilson and crew after losing Aaron Rodgers, can you? Like, that's just not fair.
Not like that. If somehow Zach Wilson leads a shootout, then okay, that's just who saw that coming. But 16-22 or whatever it was, no, you can't have that. But that's not going to lead us to your Denver Broncos coming off a 1-point loss to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, yikes, not good is where I'm going with the Broncos. You're supposed to have a resurgence in offense. You're supposed to score more than 20 points with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. And I know it's going to be a work in progress, but right now what I saw on the field was not good. I mean, Javonte Williams did not look great either. You were aiming at Cortland Sutton, and the replacement for Tim Patrick is who scored the touchdown. And so there's a lot of questions I have for this offense. Defense is, well, I mean, the defense is still good. I don't think take too much away from that, but you did give up 17 points to the Raiders. So figure that out as well. But for right now, yikes, not good.
I think that's a fair spot for them as well, too, because I felt like a very, very winnable game for them, especially in their first handful of games coming up. But that's going to now take us to those aforementioned Cleveland Browns, who this one might give me a little bit of heat here, but I'm just going to put them in good teams for now. Defensively, that team is a unit, and we do have confirmation now that Jim Schwartz does watch the podcast because he put Myles Garrett in rushing from the middle on those third downs like we've been begging for. Za'Darius Smith, having him on the field too makes a huge difference. Defensively, they were locked down. The Bengals, some of that was the Bengals. A lot of that was the Browns. Offensively, it was a poopy day to play offense. They'll be fine. They can go up from here, but they look dangerous. The question is, where does Watson go? Does he continue to get a little bit better, or was that kind of his peak? Because that was a good game, but still some issues. There was weather. It was the Bengals. There's a lot. It's week 1, so we're going to put him in good team because defensively that was incredible and offensively just enough.
Yeah, that defense was absolutely disgusting to watch. Like they were just so on their game. It was, I mean, that's what you dream of when you put that defense together for sure. But that'll take us to the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers, wow. Let's just say they screwed up my survivor pool chances in the belly up survivor pool. I'm going to say frisky and fun for the Buccaneers. I'm not sold yet on Baker, but it's a good start for Baker. You know what? You use Mike Evans exactly how you have to use Mike Evans. Throw it up, he down there somewhere. And that defense is still athletic as can be. So frisky and fun is the team, but for now is where they're going to stay. I just don't know how much that was them and how much, well, that's the other team sucking.
We'll talk more about that other team a little bit later. But speaking of not great, we have the Arizona Cardinals, where I'm going to go with yikes, not good. I'm not going to put them in bad quite yet because defensively, that was a pretty good effort. We could talk all we want about Jonathan Gannon and what he was as D coordinator. He had them flying around a little bit. They looked pretty decent. It was Washington. Maybe Washington's a lot worse than I thought they'd be, but I still think there's a lot of talent there, and they did a good job holding their own. Offensively, they're toast. They're not going to score any points, but I'm going to give them just slightly above bad simply because defensively they looked not ridiculous. So I'll give them that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Their offense did not look good. That's for sure. But their defense did look really decent. It's, I don't know. It makes you wonder what would have happened if they still had Isaiah Simmons on that team.
Isaiah Simmons or a quarterback that wasn't there for a week. Just anything sort of. But yeah, there's a lot of questions. But
yeah, that'll take us to the Chargers, the LA Chargers. And despite a loss, I still got to say this is a good team. I'm going to put them in good team for right now. I think maybe that's probably a little low. Some people might be like, oh, they're Super Bowl contenders. Oh, what the WTF was that? They didn't do anything bad to get a WTF was that. And they'll be fine, I think. But right now, overwhelmingly, that was just a good team. And you got beat by a better team and a Tyreek Hill. Mostly a Tyreek Hill at the end of the day. But it didn't look bad, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, that's going to take us to Kansas City. And this one is tough, but I'm going to go ahead and put them in Super Bowl contenders. They're going to be a notch down because we need to see Travis Kelce come back healthy, and Chris Jones already signing that 1-year deal, so he's not going to be gone for 8 weeks. Can't put him in juggernauts when you're 0-1. That's not allowed. That's the rule. And they'll be fine, but what the F was that? Doesn't fully apply. It really only applies to number 19 because the rest of them weren't exactly agreed.
Yeah.
There was some holes. There were some issues. And I guess Jawan Taylor for lining up as a running back half the time. But they can take Super Bowl contenders for now. They'll get the benefit of the doubt. You lost by 1 point to a team we're going to talk about here shortly. So they're slightly above those other two favorites, but you can't put them in the juggernauts when you're 0-1. That's to get into juggernauts, you got to win.
Yeah, and by the way, Chris Jones will be out there the next time the Chiefs go out with his new 1-year contract. It didn't take very long as expected after that game.
Exactly. He'll be ready to go. But next, that's going to leave you with my Indianapolis Colts.
Man, this team, there's some work to do. I'm not going to say this was bad or by any means. I think this was a good performance from the Colts. You went up against a tough Jaguars team, and you looked good with a rookie quarterback offensively. It wasn't great. So I'm going to say some work to do is where these guys are going to go here. I think the Colts can kind of perform a lot like how we projected them. It could be frisky and fun, but I want to see Jonathan Taylor for that to be frisky and fun. Deion Jackson has got to get off the field. He's got to go. But Michael Pittman looked good. Alec Pierce need to get him a little more involved, but Anthony Richardson, we'll see how he does with his bone bruise on his knee or bruise on his knee, whatever they want to call it. But otherwise, that offense looked good. The defense came out to play at times. I mean, just tough when your offense is giving up the ball. Namely, Deion Jackson is giving up the ball, 3 times in a game?
Fumbled once. Anthony threw a pick towards the end of the game, but just a lot of missed opportunities. I will say, we both hold Trevor Lawrence in high regard for this season, especially with Calvin Ridley and what the Jaguars can do. I think if they play most of these other teams on this list, they walk away with a dub, arguably, as well, too.
Yeah, if they play that exact same level, and let's say Anthony Richardson doesn't throw a pick and doesn't leave the game there at the end, I think this team beats anybody else in the South for sure. And probably of the other divisions outside of the East, they have a really strong competition against most everybody else.
We'll definitely see. They got Houston next and then Baltimore. So we'll get a few little litmus tests coming up with them. But next, that's got the Washington Commanders. They're going in the same tier. You win, but you could see it was like the first time for Sam Howell, and that defense gave him a little bit of fits. Terry wasn't quite healthy. Just had trouble getting a groove offensively like I hoped. Defensively, they looked fine as we expected. Like that deep. They got some work to do considering I put expectations on them. So maybe this isn't entirely my fault for being the one human that gave them expectations, but they got a little bit of work to do, but I don't think you don't write them off yet. But that was the Cardinals. We expected more than 16-20.
Yeah, no, that they need to do better. With that defense alone, they need to do better. Speaking of defense, the Dallas Cowboys. Would it be weird if I put them in? They'll be fine, but what the WTF was that? Because realistically, that defensive performance was absolutely insane, but the offense was not great. Their offense did struggle. I'm not actually going to put them there. They do go into Super Bowl contenders. I think it's safe to say. I wouldn't put them in juggernaut because, look, you cannot struggle as much as you did with Dak Prescott and still call yourself a juggernaut. Like if he did what Brock Purdy did, I'm talking a completely different story here. Like I'm like, oh yeah, let's go ride and die. I'm wearing my Cowboys gear right now. I'm not, and there's a reason why. It's because I'm not fully sold yet. The defense looked great though. But I don't know how much that was them and how much that's the Giants' dysfunction. So the defense. The question
is it an indictment or is it a compliment? And that's what we kind of have. We'll wait and see. They got the other New York team coming up. So if their defense does that again, we'll see. But it's an easy start for the defense out of the gate.
I think it's going to tell me a lot more about their offense when they go up against the Jets. I think that's going to be the big thing. I think if their defense can keep at least half of what they did against the Giants up, but I mean if their offense can come to play, that changes things for the Cowboys and might slide them up into that juggernaut category.
Definitely, if they can get offensively grooving like they were a couple of years ago, where the question was defensively. Ironic how things twist like that as well. But next, I've got the Miami Dolphins, who famously during our predictions, I put them at the bottom of the division because I was concerned about health. They're healthy right now, and like I said, if they are healthy, they're a contender for the division. Not only that, but they're a Super Bowl contender right now when they're healthy. Offensively, Mike McDaniel, Tua, Tyreek, they got it clicking on all cylinders. Raheem Mostert. Defensively, Vic Fangio dials up some goofy stuff with some really good players like Bradley Chubb, etc. So they're a Super Bowl contender as long as they are healthy. And that's kind of what my concern was them staying healthy when we did predictions. But right now they're healthy. I'm going to put them up there.
Yeah, I mean, I still had them finishing pretty good in the season, so I still feel good about my pick on the Dolphins. I think they're a pretty good team as of right now. Speaking of pretty good teams, last year's Super Bowl runner-up, the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, I think it's safe to say I do have some questions here, but they're still a Super Bowl contender. What we saw is still a Super Bowl contender worthy. Yes, there were some questions to be asked, but I also think this is a little bit more the Patriots finally had an offensive coordinator, so they actually look like a real offense more than anything. There are some weapons on that team. Let's not kid ourselves on that. And the defense for the Eagles, I mean, oh my gosh, that's a terrifying defense, especially as they continue to grow into themselves. Most of those players are 1 and 2 year players on the starting front seven. So, yeah, kind of terrifying to think about. At least the most girth is 1 and 2 year players on that front seven. And yeah, it's going to be kind of terrifying to think about the Eagles later on down the road. Offensively, I just need to see a little consistency out of their backfield. I mean, you have 4 running backs, maybe just pick one, which it seemed like they did with Kenneth Gainwell. And if that's the case, that's fine. But yeah,
we'll see. I think if they pick DeAndre Swift, they'll be much better because Kenneth Gainwell, we'll see what they do. Like you said,
you're limited with Kenneth Gainwell, but you also know what you're going to get every snap with Kenneth Gainwell. Nothing's going to surprise you with him, and that's kind of probably what they're thinking right now until DeAndre Swift can get figured out.
we'll see. I expect them to feed DeAndre Swift a lot this week. If they don't, well, then why'd you bring him in the first place?
Yeah,
but I digress,
exactly.
which is going to take us now to someone who has no problem feeding not first-round picks, and that is the Atlanta Falcons, who, you know what, they did. It was fine, but like you can't have Desmond Ridder complete 4 passes, go 4 for 4 for 0 yards. Like you can't be that ultra conservative where Drake London gets 0 targets and Kyle Pitts gets too late. The fact that Desmond Ridder had more catches than Kyle Pitts at any point in this game is kind of ridiculous. There's too much talent. You beat a rookie quarterback. It's great, but there's some work to do. Jesse Bates looks great. They got to get a passing offense figured out. They can't run the ball every single play, and they got to figure that out.
Yeah, no, I think that's safe to say. I don't have anything else to add to the Falcons at all because, yeah. But we're gonna move a little further south down that coastline to Jacksonville. Now the Jaguars, that 31-21 victory in the Colts. We talked about the Colts. They look good, but not great by any means. Jaguars defense, on the other hand, turned over the ball when they needed to. They got after the quarterback. It's a rookie quarterback, but you still beat up that offensive line pretty well. And on the flip side of things, the Jaguars, honestly, if it's not for Tank Bigsby having a pretty rough day, they probably win this game a little bit better. It might be a 38-point win or 38-21 instead of 31-21. I'm going to go Super Bowl contender here with this team. I've said it all season. I think they're a Super Bowl contender. They just kind of reinforce that. I don't think there's anything that can be concerned right now. Just get better as the season goes on.
Next, we got the New York Football Jets. And even though they got a dub, they were going in, yikes, not good because you lost your franchise quarterback. And the defense looked outstanding, as good as advertised. The running game, kind of what I talked about when we did our playoff predictions, why I thought they could win a playoff game. Until we see Zach Wilson start the game, start to finish, and not go against a self-imploding Josh Allen, I got to see what they could do. Are they just last year's Jets with Dalvin Cook? Or I just got to see. So right now it's yikes, not good, which is tough to put a team that is 1-0 in such a low category. But we have way more questions now than we did 24 hours ago, 48 hours. There's something going on in New York, and we'll talk about that more on the full show this week too. But yikes, not good for New York right now.
Yeah, that's safe to say. That'll take us to the Lions. And look, if you put the Chiefs in Super Bowl contenders and they just got beat by the Lions, can this be overreaction Tuesday? And I go Super Bowl contenders or juggernauts for the Detroit Lions? Is that where I'm going with this?
That'd be a little bit of an overreaction, I think. But
yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No, we're gonna put these guys in the good teams. There are still some holes to be fixed here, namely an actual running back. Now, don't get me wrong, Jahmyr Gibbs did look good, but I need more consistency from their running game. And also, again, I will stand by this. Middle linebackers or linebackers in general, where are you for the Detroit Lions? I don't need Alex Anzalone showing up 1 time in a game or 2 times in the game, or Malcolm Rodriguez showing up 1 or 2 times a game. I need them 12 to 14 times a game. So there's still some work to be done for the Lions. Also, there's a lot of gaps being missed in the zone coverage, except for Kadarius Toney just dropped the ball. So while there were holes on their defense, there were also holes in Kadarius Toney's hands, so they kind of got bailed out there. So I'm going to say good team. I would put them a little higher, but they didn't really do anything wrong to get a WTF was that either. I'm going to go good team right now.
Absolutely. Next, that's got the Green Bay Packers, who I'm going to put them in frisky and fun because I'm not willing to put them higher yet because, as you mentioned, it was the Bears they kind of just beat the brakes off of. But that defense looked really, really good. And offensively, Jordan Love looked comfortable, I guess. Didn't blow the brakes off, but didn't do anything stupid. Aaron Jones looked as good as it was when we took him in the Belly Up Fantasy League and why I was advocating for him. A.J. Dillon's still thick. Luke Musgrave was a good pick at tight end. Like, they got some players. I don't think they're atrocious. They got some work to do, but they're a little bit better than those other teams that have some work to do. You're 1-0. They might be frisky and fun and annoy some teams like the Lions and the Vikings and some of those other ones down the stretch.
Yeah. No, that's safe. That's a safe place, but I like that pick for the Packers right now. Panthers. This team just got beat by the aforementioned Falcons, who we put in some work to do. Despite everything, that was a bad performance. They have a lot of talent on the field, but that's a bad performance. I know you have a rookie quarterback, but your good defense, the thing that is supposed to be good on your team, gave up 24 points to a quarterback who, as you just said, went 4 for 4 on a drive with 0 yards. You also gave up Tyler Algier points, and that just frustrates me too. Panthers, just a bad performance all around.
I'm curious what it'll look like when they get healthy at receiver, but like you mentioned as well too, there was not a lot of promising things. Bryce Young rookie year, we'll see. This is a long-term game for them, not a short-term game, but that's got the New England Patriots next for me, and I'm putting him in good team category. That defense is still outstanding. If it wasn't for that pick six early on, that bounce that was a little bit high for Kendrick Bourne in a rainstorm. Who knows? Granted, the elements play a part in it, but Philadelphia's as good as they get. I mean, we have them in Super Bowl contenders. They held their own with them. Kind of similar to what you said with the Lions. There's blatantly holes. They got some work to do, but you held your own, and defensively, they were picking up right where they left off. You could tell they annoyed Jalen in the offense a little bit. So I'll put them in good teams. That doesn't mean they're going to be great. That doesn't mean they're going to stick around there, but they'll be good for now.
Yeah, that defense is look. They're led by the Sith Lord himself, so it doesn't surprise me at all that they're a good defense. It was more surprising that their offense looked so good, and Zeke actually looked pretty good running the ball as well, which is more surprising than anything. Also, Hunter Henry got free, which was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, how does that guy get free? Anyways, Las Vegas Raiders beat the Broncos. Congratulations, you beat the worst team in your division. You are no longer the worst team in your division. You're gonna have some work to do here because I can't be having I don't know who scoring touchdowns. Oh, sorry, never mind. Kobe Myers scoring your touchdown. Sorry, 2 touchdowns in a game. And Devontae not getting those touchdowns. I need Devontae to get more involved. Obviously, he was being double-teamed at times. I believe even triple-teamed, if I'm not mistaken, on one of the plays that I saw. But also Josh Jacobs, he also needs to get more burn as well. Jimmy G's is as safe of an option you can have at quarterback. But also your defense, it needs to, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done on that defense. So, yeah, some work to do for the Raiders, as we kind of expected. It's no surprise that they have some work to do this year.
That's fair. And with the Los Angeles Rams, kind of in the same thing, but I'm going to give them a little bit higher praise, and I'm even going to put them in frisky and fun because when Matt Stafford is healthy, he can just throw some lasers without a care in the world. They got Tutu Atwell came alive somehow. So did exactly. Cooper Kupp's going to come back eventually. Running back Kyron Williams looked okay. Cam Akers will eventually get the ball. Don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender, but I think they could be fun, frisky, and annoy some teams, kind of like what the Lions were last year. So we'll go and throw the Rams in here for now if they could stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. What they actually do at the end of the season now. And with the Ravens, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man, we are having major connectivity problems. Yeah, Ravens are going to go with they'll be fine, but WTF was that. Just because you lose J.K. Dobbins, that's tough. You also gave Justice Hill two carries on the goal line before J.K. Dobbins got injured. So, yeah, very interesting to see that as well. So, yeah, Baltimore Ravens need some work, have some work to be done, but I think they'll be fine at the end of the day.
They definitely have more injury woes kicking in as well. JK, Marcus Williams, they might be the most injury cursed team I've seen. Sorry, Jets fans, but they just always seem to lose players all the time. You won big time, but at the same time, it's not what we expected. It didn't look like what we were open. So I think that's a fair spot for the Ravens. Next, we got the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to put them in frisky and fun as well. They won the game, but holy moly, was it a hideous game. It's a not tough division necessarily, so we'll put you at frisky and fun. The defense looks pretty good for the most part. Derek Carr had his moments, made the plays needed. There's still some work to do there, but you won the game. They're going to win a lot of games just like that, I believe. So frisky and fun fits.
Give the ball to Jamal Williams more. You'll have more offensive gains. Anyways, that'll take us to the Seattle Seahawks. And, I don't know if to overreact about the Rams or not, but I'm going to say there's some work to be done because you lost to a team that sucked last year and defensively does not look good this year as far as like all the pieces on the field should not be as good as they are, but they made you look bad. And there's still there's a video of Geno saying, "Oh my God," as Aaron Donald is rushing him and throws the ball quickly out of his hands. Like, you can't have that. Like, if you're the Seahawks, like you're the reigning NFC West champs. You got to do better. So yeah, I'm going to go with there's some work to do there for the Seahawks.
That's fair as well too. I am curious to see if this was just a week one bugaboo or what it was, because that second half was very not good. First half was fine. Second half, they completely came undone. So we'll see if that was an anomaly.
And give the ball to Kenneth Walker.
You would think it'd be that simple, but next we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going in. Yikes, not good. I kind of want to put them a little bit higher, but I have some questions about the offensive line still. Kenny Pickett, I still have some questions with as well. The receivers look great on paper. Defensively looks good on paper. Did not look great there. They were going against juggernauts, but I'm also still concerned. I saw Kenny get smacked on his head on one of the plays he was sacked. There was concerns about another concussion issue. We'll see. They got the Browns next, so that's another tough pass rush coming up. So we'll keep an eye on them. But that week one, for a team that a lot of people picked to win the division, that did not look too good.
Yeah, no, that was not a good sight at all for them at all. So that's going to take us on to the Houston Texans, and I'm just going to keep this one short and simple. That's just bad. It's not surprising to anybody that the Houston Texans are bad right now. Jokingly, you said off air, CJ Stroud completed his first pass to himself, and yet he still has worse receivers than he did at Ohio State. So yeah, that just tells you all you need to know about the Texans. It's not a pretty sight by any means, but to me,
yeah, and that's now going to move us on to their fellow AFC South team. We got the Tennessee Titans, and same story, different chapter. They're going in bad. Ryan Tannehill looked awful. He might as well have just taken a knee every single play. That was absolutely a terrible performance, and I don't think he's going to be around for much longer. So we're going to go ahead and put him down there as well, too. That was not a good performance at all by Ryan Tannehill.
No, I agree. And that'll take us to the Vikings, final team here on the list. And I'm going to say, yikes, not good, because you lost to the team that is supposed to finish last in the NFC South. Period, point blank. With less than 5 wins, you're supposed to that team is supposed to finish in last in the NFC South by pretty much everybody's predictions. So yeah, don't give me this. Yes, you have a great offense, but what is going on with your defense? Fix it now. Just drop all the money and fix it. I don't care what you have to do, and maybe get an offensive line, maybe get a running back again.
Oh, and by the way, on short notice, you got the Philadelphia Eagles coming to town. So good luck and figure that out quickly. So good luck. Jordan Addison looked great, though. That was fun. That was a great pick. And that's not
JJ does look good. JJ does look good outside of not getting in the end zone.
And, not getting the ball hardly in the second half. That was an incredible first half, though. They just didn't. Anyway, we've been going on about the Vikings, too. But this is a look of our tiers of the NFL teams this week here in week 1. Let us know what we got right, what we got wrong, and what you vehemently disagree with. Hopefully you don't agree with the bottom one, because I think they earned that spot. Like I said, we can go on and on about this for 40 minutes, but we got zero time for that. So that's going to do it for us here for Tier Tuesdays this week. We will see you all again next week with next week's Week 2 NFL tiers.